Welcome and good evening to The Truth is Simple. I'm Dave Corm, your host. Today is October 31st, 2023. Happy Halloween! Well, good evening. Didn't really know what I was going to talk about today until I was watching the news last night. I think I was watching ABC or CBS. I was watching a football game, and I think I just left it on when I was doing something else. And a couple stories came up on the news that kind of were interest of me, and I thought, hey, maybe we'll talk about those things. And it has to do with Gaza. Of course it does, right? That's been in the news for the last almost month now. And this story dealt with the refugees. I hadn't really thought about refugees from Gaza, but I guess, like any war-torn country, including Ukraine and others around the world, we're going to have refugees, right? Sure. They were talking about where should they go and how many should the United States take? And it's like, what? How many should we take? So let's find out a little bit about Gaza. Where is Gaza? Well, it kind of sits on the Mediterranean coastline with Israel kind of on three sides of it, along the beach on the north, beach on the south, and then beach, and then inland to the east, with the rest of the country kind of Gaza Strip sitting right on the Mediterranean. The population there, from what I understood and what I could find, was somewhere about 2.2 million people. The form of government is actually the terrorist organization, Hamas. They've been the government there probably for close to 20 some years now, I believe, and have from time to time infiltrated or come across or sent rockets into Israel. But it's been some time since they've actually done that. So that's the country. Let's talk about their education system a little bit, all right? Of course, they're going to speak whatever Arab language they speak. There's several different versions of it. And their schools have been run by Hamas. A lot of their kids in the schools have been indoctrinated by Hamas as to hating Israel and hating the United States. If you've done a little research or you've been paying attention, you would have known that about 29 different United States installations or locations where Americans have been attacked by various Islamic organizations, terrorist organizations, and most likely directed by Iran. So that's what we know about these people that might be coming from the Gaza Strip for the refugees coming to wherever they're going to come in the world. This last weekend, there was a huge rally in the UK. In fact, there's probably the picture I saw made it look like it was almost 100,000 people. Probably was less, but they were standing down right around the main street of downtown of the Thames River, where the public house or the House of Commons is in the UK, and at least that's what it looked like to me. I could be wrong about the location, but it looked like the streets were person to person backed up probably for a quarter of a mile or so. So quite a few people, and they were carrying Palestinian flags, and they were chanting "Death to Israel," and they were yelling, "Wipe out Israel," and all these other things. In the United States, not so currently, and still, as I said several weeks ago, you're going to start to see an escalation upon support of Hamas and lack of support for Israel. And we're pretty much in that phase already. I thought, 10 years ago, it took 6 months for this, but it basically happened within 2 weeks of the attacks of Hamas. Support of a terrorist organization, killing Israelis, killing Americans, killing whoever was in their way at the wrong time, at the right place. It didn't matter. Kidnapping them, taking them back into Gaza, raping them, cutting their heads off, all these types of things. People are supporting them. Why? What's wrong with us? Why do we allow that to happen in this country? Free speech, right? Well, free speech for some, but not free speech for others. It depends on whose political side of the road you're on, I guess, in this country at this time. So that's for another day and another time. But let's talk about Why should the United States let any of these refugees, so-called, come to the United States? Why here? Why not Egypt, which is just, a couple miles down south of where they are? Why not into Lebanon? Why not into Syria? Why not into Jordan, which are much closer? Why not into Saudi Arabia? Because they don't want these terrorists in their countries. That's why. Why should we put them in ours? What kind of common sense is that? Over the last 2+ years, our border has been open on the south. We've had somewhere between 10 to 12 million people coming into our country illegally. What are we doing with them? They're not just coming from Mexico or Central or South America anymore. They're coming from all over the world. They're going into Mexico, coming up to the border and crossing over illegally. No visas, no passports, no identification. We don't know who these people are. And then we give them a phone and we give them a bus ride and say, good luck, have fun. Be and do whatever you want in our country. You're citizens now, right? Well, that's what we're doing. Let's talk about America and its immigration, I guess, real quick here, and its past. We're all immigrants, I guess, to some aspect, right? The Native Americans here, who we call Indians, basically, they didn't get wiped out. They got pushed onto Indian reservations, and some tribes might have gotten wiped out. But when you think about it and look at it, the Indians were probably more aggressive against themselves originally than the white man was. We were a little bit more organized and had ways of doing things, and we pushed them off their lands and onto reservations. Look at any other part of the world, and you'll find that through mankind's history. That's common. The Mongols, who invaded China and invaded parts of the Middle East and parts of actually into Eastern Europe, they took over all this land and murdered and pillaged and did what they did and ruled for 200, 300, 400, 500 years, whatever it was. Chinese dynasties, they did the same thing. The Japanese did the same thing. The Crusades coming out of Europe into the Arab lands, right? The Middle East, same thing. The Arabs who took all of North Africa and came into parts of Europe, especially into Spain, right? They did the same thing. This is mankind fallacy that we've taken some land from somebody and made it our own. It's happened throughout history. History. It's the way man does things. Who's to say 100 years from now that this is with the casinos, with the Indian casinos we have, that the Indians won't buy back the whole country from the white man? They just might. You never know. But this has been a melting pot. The United States called the melting pot of the world. And that's not because of all these people just come here and kind of bring their cultures, which they do, and bring their philosophies, which they do. Our Constitution doesn't make any difference of standing between your religion. So if you're a Muslim, you're a Hindi or a Hindu, you're of some other belief, an atheist, which is a religion in and of itself, or a Christian or a Catholic, which are both Christians, it doesn't make any distinction. You're able to bring your culture, you're bringing religion here with you. But the one thing we had in common is all those people that moved here, they wanted to become Americans. The most successful country in the world, in history. They wanted to become Americans. Today, that is not what we're supporting or what they're coming here for. They're just trying to run away from whatever they're doing, or they're coming here as terrorists. We've had over 130, I think, terrorists, if not more, that have been reported have crossed our southern border into our country. It's probably a lot more. In fact, I was watching a video today, which was up in New York City, and we'll talk about New York too. Over $12 billion spent over the last 3 years on illegal immigrants coming into the city. They're talking about shipping them out as well, putting them on a bus and sending them somewhere else. They put them in a house for a place to live for 90 days. If they can't find a place on their own, they give them an additional 30 days. And if they don't, they're talking about giving them tents and throwing them out on the street in the middle of winter coming, right? So here we go. There's New York for you. And that's supposed to be a sanctuary city, right? Sanctuary city. Same as California. Most of California is a sanctuary state. But there's no vetting of these people coming into our country anymore. They don't have to become American citizens. We celebrate every one of their holidays as national holidays. I can't even look at my calendar on my phone anymore and see it says today is this day, today is that day, today, this month is this month, this month is that month. What are we doing? This is where is us becoming a country, a bunch of American citizens together, living under a similar and then the same culture, and then we have our subcultures, which are good, our family traditions and so forth like that. I don't see any issues with that. But first, we become Americans. Why do we allow English not to be taught in our schools? In fact, one of the things that they said today with all these immigrants coming into our country is the 29,000+ students that have come with these migrating peoples into the country who have come here illegally. The cost of that, the lack of teachers, the lack of infrastructure, the overcrowding of classes, let alone they speak all these different languages, primarily maybe Spanish, but they speak all these different languages, and we're trying to immerse them into classes where they don't speak English. Teachers who can't speak their language. It's ridiculous. How do we logistically handle these things? And it's just overwhelming. We just can't do it. English is the language of business in the world. It's the international language right now. Not to say that won't change 30 years from now. If China takes over the world, we won't all be speaking some form of Chinese dialect. There's several of them. But maybe Chinese will become the dialect of the world. But for right now, English is the language of the world, for better or for worse. Probably because of the United States and because of its capitalistic ways, which are not bad. How do you think this has become the most prosperous nation in the world? It's because it's been a capitalist nation. Free enterprise, not government-controlled enterprise. But at the same time, we're talking about allowing these people, going back to Gaza, these people coming into our country possibly as refugees. Germany's had the same problems with refugees there. They're closing down their borders. Poland, boom, they're not letting any of these people in to their countries because they know it's going to destroy, and they've already been under rule of the communists from the Soviet Union, the Russians. They don't want anything to do with these people coming in and changing their culture and their lifestyle and their form of government, like what's happening right here, right now, before your eyes in the United States of America. We are in a battle for survival. Many of you do not know that. Many of you do not care. Many of you are getting free handouts from the government, which will just kind of shut off as soon as the control of power happens, because that's the way it's always happened in the world. Look it up. Find out for yourselves. That's what this channel is about. The truth is simple. The truth is out there, and you should find it before it's too late. Let's talk about America, the largest giving country in the world. Whenever a disaster happens somewhere, who's the first to arrive? The United States. The Navy, the military, the Marines, bringing supplies in, bringing cargo planes in to support these people in these areas of distress throughout the world. We give 4 times more than the next country in the world, which is Germany, in support for these types of relief projects. 4 times more than any other country in the world, the United States. We are a very giving, loving, caring country. Don't let anybody else tell you different, because it's a lie. It is a bold out lie. As far as just giving money to countries on a regular basis, 6 of the top 10 countries that we give money to every year are in Africa. Did you know that? 6 of the top 10 are in Africa. The next 3 are in the Middle East. And then there's Afghanistan, which is kind of a quasi-Middle East Asian country, which we were there. And who's running that country right now? So we're still giving money to those people that are threatening to kill us, and so forth and so on over there. Can you believe that? Ridiculous. We're giving money to a country that hates us that bad, that much, that wants to destroy America. Same with the Gaza Strip. We give money to there. Who do you think takes that money? The government, right? Who is Hamas? Yes, they take it and then they buy rockets and the missiles and they dig tunnels and they do teach their kids to hate Israel and hate the United States. So what are we doing? What are we doing? It's crazy, right? Let me think here. Oh, you know what? I received something. I wanted to talk about the border too, but I think I talked enough about that. I received this little document from a Miss Kate Sanchez, who is the assembly member of the 71st district. I guess it's my assembly district in California, for where my other house is at, where I used to live. Why she sends it to me? Because in Las Vegas. Working together to defeat the fentanyl epidemic is a bipartisan priority. I looked at this and I just laughed, and I just wanted to call her up or send her an email or a text and say, fentanyl is happening because of you. You are responsible for the fentanyl problem in California and in the rest of the country by allowing it to come across our southern border. What? Our southern border? Yeah. Do you know how many people have died from fentanyl in 2023 or 2022? Almost 74,000 people died from fentanyl overdose last year. This year, it's on a record to be ahead of last year. And last year was 2 times greater than the year before. Over 250,000 people since 2008 have died from fentanyl. And the amount of fentanyl coming across the border, I think I did a study of it. I think there's enough fentanyl crossing the border, or has crossed the border, to kill everybody in the United States. Everybody in the United States. It doesn't take much fentanyl to kill you. I don't know why you would want to take something like that that has such the effect on humans as killing you that easily. But I guess that's what happens when you're addicted. And I'm thinking, she sends this out. We're going to fight it. These are her strategies. We want to teach students and teachers to recognize overdoses, to properly use Narcan, a fentanyl overdose reversal medication, and provide schools with adequate supplies of Narcan. Are you kidding me? So we're not going to stop it at its source. We're going to teach you how to identify it and then how to give a student a shot if they're dying from fentanyl. I mean, that's a good back end side of it, but at the same time, is that a way to defeat fentanyl in the community? Is by having the shot that saves your life available? It's okay to use fentanyl. Don't worry. We'll shoot you up and save you when you're dying, right? That's ludicrous. Deter. Provide law enforcement more tools to address fentanyl trafficking online and ensure fentanyl traffickers are held criminally accountable. Are you kidding me again? Let's look at the track record in California. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Gascon, and whoever the current person is in San Francisco. We're going to let these people out without bail. They don't need bail. They just let them out. And we're not going to charge them as a felony. It's just charge it as a misdemeanor. Oh, you know what? Nobody died. Who cares? Just let them out anyway. We're not even going to prosecute this. It's stupid, ludicrous. Oh, here we go. Treat. Require insurers to cover the cost of Narcan to establish the Fentanyl Misuse and Overdose Protection Task Force. So they're going to charge doctors. To pay for this task force that basically does nothing but provide shots to save your kid if they're overdosing. How does that get them off of the drug in the first place? How does that prevent them from getting on the drug? How does it reduce the drug coming into the country? Look at my back wall. Bam. Law enforcement. I was a public and traffic safety commissioner for almost 5 years in the city of Temecula. I look at this and I laugh and say, what a joke. What a piece of propaganda. Stop the stuff at the border. Stop being sanctuary cities and allowing these people in. Start prosecuting them like you did for killing our children, killing American citizens by allowing fentanyl to be rapid throughout our cities and our education centers, our schools, and so forth. Crazy. I just laughed at that. What a waste of paper. What a waste of propaganda. That's all it is. It's propaganda. Look what I did to help prevent da-da-da-da-da. Nothing. You're the cause of it. You're just encouraging it by giving them a solution to save their lives. Crazy how this country works, right? And our so-called elected unofficials do stuff. They're just idiots. Oh, so let's see. I talked about America. It's the largest giver. I didn't talk about history. The world is full of countries and empires and so forth that have been leaders of the world in one way or another, whether it was by taking it over. The Mongols took over most of Asia, parts of the Middle East, and parts of Europe. I mean, they had a vast empire that, and then they kind of had all the people come into it, kind of like what we're doing right now. What happened to that empire? It's gone. What happened to the Chinese dynasties? Same thing, right? They built a great wall to keep the Mongols out. They built a great wall to keep this out and keep that out. What happened over time? It worked for a short period, but over time, because they assimilated these people, they came in, but they didn't have the culture and the values of the original people. The country fell apart. The dynasties fell apart. Same with the Japanese. They did it too. Let's look at Europe. Great empires like the UK had, Great Britain had back in the 1800s, with colonies all over the world, in the Americas and Africa and Asia and so forth and so on. What happened to them? They tried to assimilate these people, but they kept their cultures and their morals and values, and eventually it fell apart. What about the United States? Most likely it's going to do the same. I would like to think we're not an empire. We're more of that shiny light on the hill, but as all great nations do, they come and go, just like Rome, just like Greece, just like the Byzantine Empire, just like all the Egyptian empires, just like all these different organizations. We had the Arabs did the same thing. They took North Africa. They came into parts of Eastern Europe. They actually came up into Spain and so forth and so on, and was part of their Arab empire at the time. It's gone. That's just the way history works. The only problem with the United States losing, is because it doesn't need to be, and it doesn't. It should be able to learn from all these other countries that have fallen by the wayside. And what's doing that to us? It's the immigration coming from our southern border right now. It's the transition from a capitalist society, which this capitalist society has been the freest, most vibrant, most technologically advanced, most growing, most opportunity-based for anybody here, and that's why so many people are trying to come here, country in the world. It'd be a shame to lose it. Cell phones, you know why they exist? Probably because the United States did it. NASA's technologies have created a lot of the things that we take for granted nowadays, space program and so forth and so on. But this country, why it hasn't developed all the technologies, I mean, there's been technologies developed in other parts of the world in different countries and so forth and so on. This has been the country that's been inspiring a lot of those, and the reasons for a lot of those to happen. When you have a government that doesn't allow free enterprise being able to develop new technologies and so forth, everything just stops. Ask the Soviet Union, people that lived in the Soviet Union, how such a happy place that was to live while it was the Soviet Union. Ask the people there now in Russia if they feel any different about what's going on there now. A country with less than 150 million people living in the whole country, and it's 4 times the size of the United States. Why do all these people from all over the world want to come here? And why are we allowing it to be destroyed? So going back to Gaza one last time, going back to these people that are going to be supposed refugees coming from there. Why should we not let them in the United States? Common sense is they don't need to be here. We've already let 12 million people from all over the world come here. They're better served in regions of their own countries or of that area, whether it be Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, wherever, Lebanon, Iran, I hate to say it, Iran or Iraq. There's plenty of places for those people to get refuge in that region and not have to come to the United States. It just is. With that said, we'd be ludicrous to bring them here with their education and training, their background. They've been taught by Hamas in their education program in their schools to hate Israel, to hate Israelis, Jews, and to hate Americans. And by allowing them to come here, there's a good chance we're just letting in terrorists. And those things that we've seen at the universities in support of Hamas, a terrorist organization that attacked and killed free living citizens in a neighboring country. We're just inviting that to happen and grow. And we'd be ludicrous to allow that. In fact, my opinion, and I think it's based on sound facts and sound thinking, is those people that went to those events, if they are non-American citizens, they're students, they're here on visas, those visas should be revoked and they should be sent back to their countries and not allowed to return to the United States for the rest of their lives. That's what America's about. That's who we are. We're about freedom for our people and our citizens. We would like to see that happen in other countries, but we don't need to have terrorists here destroying our culture, who and what we are as a nation, our free enterprise system, and basically our faith. We are, needless to say, a Christian nation. We are very forgiving in that area, and very loving in that area, and very accepting in that area. That's who we are, and to allow that to be destroyed not only will hurt us here at home, but through all the giving and everything we do throughout the world would hurt everybody else in the world too. Think about that. Think about that. All that free support that comes from us whenever a disaster hits, all that free support that goes to countries to help them when they're down and they're struggling and they're trying to grow, that would all stop. It would be a shame for America to disappear. And that's the course we're set on right now. And I think I'm going to do a story on China next time. The hiding ghost or the hiding dragon. I guess we could call that the hiding dragon. I like that story. But with that said, I think we're done for this week. I've already been on here way longer than I need to be. I think I talked a lot about why we shouldn't accept the refugees from Gaza, and we shouldn't accept them anywhere from the world at this point. With 12 million people coming here across our southern border, we've got enough issues in our own country with education, with the cost to taking care of these people, healthcare wise and food wise and housing wise and everything else, that enough's enough. I mean, we can't take in the whole world. The world's 8 billion people. If we take in 8 billion, that means there's going to be a lot of space everywhere else. Maybe I should look to move somewhere else where there's nobody at. Huh? Hey, bring in all 8 billion. Let me move. I'll take the rest of the world. You guys can all have America. With that said, you guys have a great week. And remember, sometimes the truth hurts. And this show's about you hearing me a little bit, but investigating it for yourself, finding out the information. So with that said, you have a great day and a great week, and we'll see you next time.